Pre-finished paneling became very popular in the late 60s and throughout the 70s and the 80s. It had a finished stain look with narrow black vertical grooves and was relatively easy to maintain. However, many homeowners are seeking alternatives to get away from the older, dark cave look and to use wallpaper to brighten up the rooms. There are very specific steps that must be followed to ensure adequate adhesion and a nice finish. The first step is to carefully inspect the entire wall surface and to make sure there are no nails protruding from the wall. Often, small nails that were previously used for hanging pictures are not readily visible and they must be removed. Be very cautious when wiping or sanding the walls to avoid cutting your hand on a protruding nail. Use small paneling nails to secure any loose edges of the paneling sheets. The next step, and the most critical, is to thoroughly clean the entire surface of the paneling to remove any wax, furniture polish, or even smoke that may have accumulated from a fireplace or from cooking over a period of time. It is very possible that some type of polish or wood cleaner or enhancer was applied to the surface to enhance the appearance of the wood or to remove scratches. Such products usually contain an oily solvent and will prevent the wallpaper primer and or the wallpaper from bonding properly. It must be thoroughly cleaned. The big question is, what do you use to clean the surface? First of all, let me tell you what not to use. Unfortunately, many do-it-yourselfers are advised to use products such as trisodium phosphate or washing powders. Sometimes homeowners are advised to use solvents such as paint thinner or kerosene. None of these products should ever be used because neither the wallpaper primer nor the wallpaper adhesive will bond to them properly. Only use an equal solution of ammonia and water to clean wall surfaces in preparation for wallpaper installations. This will cut the wax and the polish while removing dirt and smoke residues. Then do a final cleaning with water. Do not cleaner that contains phosphates or oily solvents because these will eradicate the bonding of the primer and adhesives. After proper cleaning, allow the surface to dry and sand the entire surface using a 60 to 80 grit sandpaper. This sandpaper is relatively coarse, however it will etch the surface of the paneling and will provide good bonding power or tooth for the primer sealer. Apply either a pigmented or clear wallpaper primer sealer over the paneling and allow it to dry for a minimum of 24 to 48 hours. Install a blank stock of lining paper horizontally so that it bridges across the vertical grooves of the paneling. It is critical to maintain tight horizontal pressure to the liner during the installation to make sure that it bridges across the vertical grooves of the paneling as much as possible. This computer-generated graphic shows how the hands should work together to keep and hold pressure on the liner to make sure that it stays tight during the installation of the strip. Continue the same procedure for the second strip. Finally, install the third and then the fourth strips. Allow these to completely dry. Then use the raking the wall technique as described earlier to highlight any uneven areas, paying special attention to the seams between the 4x8 sheets of the paneling. Apply spackling or drywall mud directly over the liner paper at these uneven areas. Inspect the entire wall using the clamp light to make sure that the liner did not shrink into any of the vertical grooves. If so, simply use the drywall mud to fill them in. Sand all the spackling smooth after it has dried. If you plan to use a water tray, I personally recommend applying a wallpaper primer over the entire surface of the liner, primarily to minimize the porosity. Once the primer has dried, then apply your wallpaper directly over the liner as if it were drywall. Notice how the seams of the liner paper and the finished wallpaper seams create a cross-seaming effect. Be mindful that the liner paper will absorb the moisture quickly during the application of the wallpaper, which may cause the edges not to bond properly. For this reason, I recommend using additional adhesive instead of a water tray for this type of application.